Hi everyone. So today I'm just gonna be doing maybe short tutorial on how to do SQL. So I got a bit of a cold. So SQL's it just stands for Structured Query Language. It's basically the language that we'd use to handle and manage data or data from our applications. That's just the gist of it. If you've had experience with PHP, you've probably used a minor bit of SQL. So we're going to be doing the database assignments for DATA6222, which at the time of recording, I've already done already. But this video is mostly just for people who would just want to like basically the basics of SQL. Because this assignment does cover pretty much everything. And also it's good practice for when you need to do a test. So we have an ERD diagram. If you've done sand before, then you can recognize this. We're going to turn this into tables for a database. So if you go down to step 1, it says write the necessary SQL statements to create a database and associated tables as defined by the business rules on the previous page. So we're going to turn each one of these into tables. Now I'm just going to move this to my second screen so that I don't have to keep going back and forth. So what you should get is Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. If you don't already have it, I'll put a link to download in my descriptions. So what we're going to do, first we're going to connect to our database. This is my server name. Yours will just, if you're doing this on your personal computer, it'll just be the name of your computer / SQL Express. But if you're doing this on a school computer, I think it would be the name of your profile followed by the school server name. So I'm just going to connect. I'm going to create a new query. And then we're going to create a database. So we're doing this for book publishing. So I'm going to say create. And remember, this thing isn't picky about uppercase or lowercase. So you can say create in uppercase or lowercase. But maybe just to make things easier to read, I'll do it in uppercase. So I'll say create database. And then what are we going to call it? We're going to call it books comp. And then you gotta click this to execute, but it also shows you the execute shortcut, which is just F5. So press F5. And if you see this with no errors, then your database has been created. Now I have noticed something weird, but it could just be with my setup, but I have seen it other people set up where sometimes when you create a database, it doesn't pop up. Now I already do have a books published, but this is a completely different one. Like if I reload, so there's books comps, okay. But sometimes you need to refresh, and if it doesn't refresh, you need to disconnect and then reconnect, and then your changes will pop up. Okay, so we've created a database. So they wanted us to create our table. So we'll start with, let's make it uppercase, create table book. And then here's where we have to explain what our table will have. So our first thing will be book ID. Our book ID will be an integer. Let's see, we'll give it a limit of like 250. We will also say they want our book key to be a book ID to be a primary key. So we write primary key. Now remember, you can do it in uppercase or lowercase. And because I want this to be unique, we'll use this thing called constraints. You have different types of constraints. Basically, your constraints are like telling your table that this thing has to have something. So when I'm saying my thing will be not null, when I'm saying not null, I'm saying there has to be a value within this book ID. I can't just say not null. The other constraints that I know of is not null, unique, and foreign keys and primary keys. But we already have that. So then now we've got not null. But if you're willing to correct me, just say so in the comments. Sorry about this code, guys. Okay. Our next thing is our title. And then we're going to use what is known as varchar, which is short for variable character. We'll make that 250 as well. And don't forget to end off each one of your stuff with commas. Okay. So I've noticed by the table, if you look back, our book wants our genre ID and our author ID as both foreign keys. So I'm actually going to do the book thing last. We'll do the author ID and genre ID first. So we'll just put this down here for later. And then we'll say, so we'll create the table for genre. So create table, genre, genre ID is int 250 number limit, primary key not null, and then we close that off. And then our description, we'll say description. Don't worry about it being blue. It's just sometimes SQL also has its own command for description, but because we're using it as a name, it will figure that out. So varchar, and since the description, we'll say our description needs 500 characters, so that's the word limit. And then a good thing to test this out is after each table you create, what I like to do is I say select star from and then the name of our table. When we say select star from, the star means we're selecting all. So we're selecting all the stuff from the table. When we say different things, like maybe, like say if we were looking for like books under the like horror category, so we'll say select from, and it will say genre, and it would say where genre ID, the genre ID is equal to, like, let's say four is for horror, then it will show us that stuff. But I'll show you an example for it when we get to it. Okay, so we've done the genre, and now it's the author. Yeah, so you go create table author, and remember, it's good to practice this. I mean, it's not that hard, but it's very good to practice it. Like, it's easy to learn, but it's also very easy to forget. That's the thing if you don't practice. So, and then this is also going to be, now again, we don't have to put character limits. I just do it as a habit, because this is just as fun. This is just as fun. So we'll just do that primary key and primary key, not null. And then our author name. So we'll say name varchar 250. This is nobody with a name longer than 250 characters. And then surname varchar 250. And then we'll say select from author. Okay, now that we've done that, our book ERD, if I go back to it, it's got genre ID FK1 and author ID FK2. The FK stands for foreign keys. Our foreign keys are actually our primary keys and our other ERDs. And so to do that, we're basically going to technically recreate these things, but then we're going to do this thing called referencing. So we're going to say genre ID int foreign key references name of our table genre, and it will say genre ID. Gonna close that off, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing for author. And so I'm gonna just change this to author ID. What? We don't need this. Yeah, so basically saying in this table book, genre ID will be an integer. So we'll only take integer values. It will be a foreign key that references the table genre, and it will reference the column genre ID from this table. And let me just check on my other monitor. Is that it? Yep. Then same as before, just as a good habit, select from book. Oh, I forgot to say. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this. To use a database, we say use and then the database that we're using, books comp. Because now the stuff that we were just doing just now, if I didn't say this, it was just gonna add it to all of this random stuff. So I'm just gonna press F5. So now we're using that database, and now I'm just gonna paste this back. Okay, and just a nice thing. It's always good to know keyboard shortcuts like what I just did now. So let me just do a quick recap. So Control plus V, that's paste. Control plus C, that's copy. And then Control plus X, that's cut. And then Control plus it's a copy paste. Control plus A, that's select all. And then Control plus S, this is save. These are just little useful keyboard shortcuts for you to learn. Okay, what else do we need to do? We also need to do the entry ID and the competition. So let's just do competition first. So we'll say create table competition. And we'll do that. We'll say competition. God, I hope I spelled this right. Int primary key not null. And then this has its own description as well. Description varchar 500. Okay. Another thing I should mention, when you do practice this stuff, try and understand why you're doing stuff like this. Like, because what we're doing right now, we're converting these tables from our ERD into tables into our database, because normally when we're doing apps and stuff, like for those of you who have done web development, you've probably worked with ERDs to try and figure out where your user data is going to go. And that's where we touch it with a bit of SQL, because it's better to know what you're doing when you're doing something instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's that tutorial habit that a lot of us fall into, where we follow a tutorial and then maybe we get the answer we want, or we build this app that the guy in the tutorial is making, but we don't know why we're doing it, or we don't know why we're doing the stuff that we're doing in the tutorial. It's good to see, like, okay, I don't understand this, and just go and research it. So from competition, select from competition, and then our last one will be entry. And entry, if you can see here, entry has two foreign keys, book ID and competition ID. So same as last time. So create table entry. I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna copy this to save time. We'll just say entry ID. And then we'll also have, book ID. So we'll have the same as last time. So book ID, integer, foreign key, references, and then our table book. And then in that table, we're referencing the column book ID. And then we're going to do the same for competition. So I'm just going to copy the name competition ID, int foreign key, references, competition ID, and then select from entry. Now, I think that's it for question 1. So now if I press F5 and run this, hopefully the tables will be created. So yeah, here they are. Here are our tables. So we got our genre. Let's see. Yeah. So we got a genre ID. I'm guessing this is for, if I did them in order. Yeah. There's our genre tables at the top. And then an author table, author ID, name, surname. And then the book table. So book ID, title, genre ID, author ID with the foreign keys. And then we got our competition, which is competition ID and description, and then our entries. Now, I normally just like to select all of these and then keep them in a notepad. So mostly when I'm working on questions, and then when I hand them all in, I just put them all in one thing. So if I say new, we'll just add a new notepad here. This is where our code's gonna be. Oh, sorry about the cough, guys. Paste, and then we'll just keep it here for later. Okay. And then we'll just select all of this and get rid of it. Just gonna put this down here. Okay. Now, question 2 says we need to write the necessary SQL statements to insert relevance data into the database table that we created in step 1. So for each of the tables listed below, we're going to insert at least the minimum number of records stated. And it says you may insert more records than the minimum stated. There's author table, genre table. We're going to insert at least 5 records into each one of these. Now, there's 2 ways to do that. There's the long way, and then there's the shortcut way. So the long way, like let's say we're gonna do our author table. So the long way would be insert into. Okay, like I said, sometimes your things won't pop up because now I'm pretty sure if I open this and I open my tables, oh, there's my tables. So let's say insert into author. Okay, let me just disconnect and reconnect. But as long as your tables do exist, it should be fine. It's just there are times where this red line will be there regardless of what you do. And I don't know why that happens. So I'm going to say use book comp to use our table. Okay, so let me just go back. So that long way, we're going to use insert. When we say insert, we're inserting into our tables in our database that we created. See, here's the database and here's the tables we've made. So we'll say insert into author. Like I said, if it's red, but you still see the table, you're right. Just for some reason, it will underline it and say that it's object name is invalid. Okay, so insert into author values, and then we'll say so 1. If you remember our structure, our author ID has author ID, which is integer, name, and then a surname. So a number and then 2 characters. So we're going to say Stephen, and then our next one. Then we'll get single line, single quotes, King, and then yeah. This is a long way because they wanted us to do it for 5 records of 5 different authors. So basically, they'd want us to do this at least 5 times. Now, most people, like, you can do this, is correct, but it is a bit of a time waster. So one method you can do is right after here, you can add a bracket here, and then you can state the column names. So we'll say author ID, comma, name, comma, surname. So basically what we're saying is insert into author and then all of these values. And then where it says values, what we're going to do is we're going to add these new values, but at the end of each one, see, I'm going to add another not a bracket. And then I'm also going to add, actually no, I don't need to add this bracket. So this is our first entry, the Stephen King. So it's at a certain values. I'm just going to format this so you guys can see it, so it looks neater. So there's our first entry, and then we close it off. And also at the end here, we'll add a semicolon. So there's our first entry. So now after that, we just add other stuff here. So we're gonna say number 2 is who's another author we can add? We can add Tom Clancy. Never read his books, played his games. Tom Clancy. Then just gonna copy these two I already have on hand. So we got Roald Dahl and that off. Alan Payton and oh, sorry, and Ian Fleming. 5, and then just to test it out, select from author, and hopefully we'll see our entries. So query completed with errors. So this is incorrect, or incorrect syntax near 1. So there's something wrong here. And it's always good to check. Okay, so this is right, that's right, that's right, and that's right. Let me just pause and figure it out. Oh, okay, so it was that second bracket added at the bottom here. That wasn't supposed to be there. But yeah, now everything's correct, and as you can see, here are our values. So yeah, instead of doing that whole insert into all the values over and over again, just do insert into your name of your table, the columns in that table, values, and then just start adding your values inside. Okay, and then that's what they want for our genre table and then our books table and our competition. Now, I'm going to do one more for the genre table, and then just to save time, since I've already done this before, I'm just going to copy paste the entries I've done for the other stuff. You know, you guys can pause this and do this at your own time. You know, look at this, or you can find another past paper to do. So the next one they wanted was competition. What's the genre? I'll just do genre. So then insert into genre. Yep. And then our values will be, okay, so it's our genre ID and our description, if I'm not mistaken. Columns, yep, genre ID, comma, description, values, and then just underneath here. Like I said, I've already done my stuff, but let's just write it again. So we're gonna say ID number and then action. That's our first one. And then close that off. Number 2, that would be horror, which is actually my favorite genre. And then number 3, guys, if you get bored or if I'm talking too slowly, thing on YouTube, if you go to the dedicate option in YouTube and then you go to play speed, I think you can just set me to 1.5 and then you can just skip all of this, you know. This is just for those who might really want to learn just how to do this over and over again. But like I said, I'm not at my best right now. I'm literally just recording while I have the flu. And I'm gonna add a comment here. Romance. And then, I'm getting a bit lazy now, so add that. And then our last one will be erotica. And then select from genre, press F5 to execute, and there you go. So now I'm just gonna copy paste other stuff just to save time. So I'm just gonna jump cut to the tables that I've already done because just to save time. Okay. Actually, I'm not gonna jump cut because I forgot to mention one thing. Okay. So when we're doing the same thing for books, when we're inserting into our values, we're gonna say insert into and then book. And remember, your table names are case sensitive, so book and then the values. Now, if you look at book at our table, it's got book ID, title, but then it's also got our 2 foreign keys in here. So what we then have to say is, let's just go for an example book. Okay. So let's say we've got Stephen King. So that's our book ID. And then this would be, excuse me. The second thing would be our title. So we'd say the movie was it. The book was it. Now this is where our foreign key would be. Now our genre ID is our next column. Our genre ID for this book would be 2, because 2 the description for the genre ID is horror. Okay. And then if we go back to our table, now we'd have to put Stephen's author ID in here. Now I've already forgotten what that is, so I'm just gonna cut this, select from author and F5. So Stephen's genre ID is 1. So let's put this back. So then we'd say that. And now if I just say select from book, and then press F5. There it is. His book ID, his title, his genre ID, and his author ID. That's what I want to show you. So yeah, always take that in mind, that when you're doing stuff like this, that these values will be put in these columns. If this was empty, then I would get an error and then I'd have to execute it again, especially my IDs, because these were not nulls. So yeah, now I'm just gonna skip to the tables already done. Oh, my bad. So yeah, as you can see, here are all our tables. So with the inserted values. So then this is our book ID table. With the book ID, the title, the genre ID, and author ID. And then our competitions. I just went on the website and looked for randomly generated competition names, the descriptions. And then we got our entries. So our entry ID, the book ID, and then the competition ID. So now question 3 says write an SQL statement to demonstrate your knowledge of the update statement. So updates, we're just gonna change something here. Like, for example, we have raw door, I guess. Okay, so look, when we want to update something, we basically just want to change something that we want from a table. So if we look at, I'm going to say select from order and then select from genre. Okay, look at number 5. We've got erotica for number 5. But we've also got raw doll here. None of these people here write erotica. So what are we going to do? We're going to change something here. We're going to change Alan Payton to H.G. Wells, and then we're going to change erotica to children's books. So I'm just going to press enter, put these down. So then we're going to say update, and I'm going to do it all uppercase. Update genre. And then we're going to say set. So now we're setting something. When we say set, we're going to say, we're going to set the value of what column we're going to select to our new value. So set description to equal to children. Where now we're telling it, okay, but where we're going to do it. So we're going to say where genre ID is equal to 5. We're going to do that for author, update, author, set name to HG, and then I guess I could also do set surname is equal to Wells. Is that even allowed? Alright, maybe if I do this. Nope. author ID is equal to what's the author ID? 4. Okay, I'm just gonna do this one at a time. We'll just say HG. So you can see our John ID got changed to children, and then our first name got changed to HG. I'm just gonna make this surname and just make this Wells. I'm gonna just get rid of this. Get rid of this. Oops. Surname. Okay, there you go, HT Wells. Get rid of this. Okay, and that's how you update something in SQL for question 3. Now, write an SQL statement to demonstrate your knowledge of the delete statements. So we're just gonna create an order and then delete them. So we'll just say insert into order, and then we'll say order ID name and surname. Values, and then we'll say 6 Debbie Ryan. She was in Sweet Life on Deck, if I remember correctly. I forgot to do the select from author. Let's find out. So select from author. This is Debbie Ryan. She might have read in the book, I don't know. So I'm gonna just press enter, and then we're just gonna delete it. It's basically just the opposite of how updates, minus the set part though. So we'll say delete from the name of our table, genre, where our author ID not from genre, from author. Delete from author where our author ID is equal to 6. And then if we execute that, there you go, she's gone. Okay, now let's just ignore that for now. So now we're going to do question 5. Write an SQL statement to display a report that lists all book titles, their authors, and their genres. Genre. The report should be sorted in alphabetical ascending order by the genre, followed by alphabetical ascending order by book titles. So we're just gonna display them as, we're gonna say select, and then underneath here or next to, if you want, we're gonna say genre dot description like I said, normally when you do this dot, this is supposed to pop up. But this is like the stuff I recommend you guys should practice, because sometimes it's not gonna pop up for you, and that means you're gonna have to remember how to do this off by heart, which is a good thing. You should remember how to do this off by heart. So genre description as, and then we'll say genre. Basically, we're just saying this is what our description from the genre table is going to be known in our report. So we'll say as, and then we're basically just saying this is what our column is going to be referred to in this report. So then we're going to do one for book title as book underscore title author dot name as name, and then author dot surname as surname. Okay, and now we're just gonna say where we're gonna get these values from. So select from genre ID book dot title author dot name dot surname from our tables book author and then genre, where now we're saying where from, because they want us to write a report that lists all the book titles, their authors, and their genres. The report should be sorted in alphabetical ascending order, by genre, followed by alphabetical ascending order by book. Meaning that when we display the reports, each author on their table should correspond to each book that they refer to, and each book that they've written has to also link up or correspond to each genre. So let's say we did Stephen King. Stephen King would then be followed by his book It, and then his book It would be under horror, and that's what we would see displayed. But they also want an alphabetical ascending order by the genre, followed by the alphabetical ascending order by the book titles. So we'll say where author dot author ID is equal to author dot author ID and book dot genre ID is equal to genre dot genre ID. Okay. We're basically just saying where author.author ID. This seems a bit redundant though, but this is in my notes, so I have this odd feeling this is basically this is supposed to be one of these is supposed to be something else. But we'll see. And then this line is saying book.genre ID is supposed to link up to genre.genre ID. And then now we're gonna say order by. Order by is what we use when we're trying to do ascending or descending. So we'll say we'll order by the genre dot description ASC, that's for ascending. And then we'll also say book dot title, and then we'll just also put ASC here. So now, hopefully if I run that, here's our report. So we got a genre, the book Casino Royale, but then we got Stephen King. Now, I'm guessing, see, that's wrong because Stephen King didn't write Casino Royale or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And I have noticed that the books are displaying over and over again in multiples. So something is wrong here. Let me just check it out. Okay, so I was right. So my error was that it wasn't supposed to be auto-id.auto-id is equal to auto-id.auto-id. It was supposed to equal to book ID. Because remember, our book table, if we just look at our ERD, our book table has a foreign key from auto-id, which means these two had to link up. And now after we execute this, see, we got a genre action, Casino Royale, and Ian Fleming. And then if we go down, we got children, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Roald Dahl, and then horror, Carrie, Stephen King. And then at the bottom, we've got science, Invisible Man, H.G. Wells. So that's what we do to number 5. So like I said, I'd just like to save these into a notepad for later. But another nice thing you can do when you are doing like tests and stuff like that, just add these lines at the beginning. You know, they'll be commented out, they'll be green, and then just say like question 1, and then do your stuff underneath it, and then question 2, and so on. Okay, now question 6. Question 6, they want us to write a SQL statement to demonstrate your knowledge of group by clause. Okay. So we'll just say, I'll just do the stuff first, and then we'll do the group by. So select, actually, yeah. Select, and from here, say genre dot description as genre. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. I'm really lazy today. Okay. We don't need book title because that's not what they asked for. Okay. And then we're going to use this thing called count. This is just so they'll count the number of books we have. Book dot book ID as book count. And like I said, don't worry about it being red if your database already exists. It just does this sometimes. So from book, we'll say, okay. Now, this is where we use this thing called join. When we join something, we're basically saying that this thing's column and this other column is gonna fuse into one, and and they're gonna bind together. So we're gonna be using join for our foreign keys for our book ID and author ID, meaning that when we display the table, they'll be put into one thing. And then that's how, when we do our reports, it'll be like, okay, so this joins to that, which means that all the information that we're getting from this table and all the information we're getting from this table is going to be in one row. If, you know what I mean. But do a bit more research on this. You know, if you don't understand it, like if I'm not explaining it well, it's always good to see if one person can explain it well. It's always good to go to other people and see if they can explain it better, you know. So we're gonna say join author on book dot author ID is equal to author dot author ID. And then we're gonna join genre on genre dot genre ID is equal to book dot genre ID group by. That is where we use group by. So we're going to group them by their description. And then author dot name and author dot surname. And then we're going to do order by count book dot book ID descending genre dot description ascending, and then author dot surname ascend. So I keep saving my mistake. Okay. Yeah, so the group by, basically it just groups rows that have the same values into summary rows. You know, I mean, and we normally, like when I'm using counts, basically I'm using it just to say, like, if I'm trying to say, okay, count the number of books each author has, you can use count, max, you know, maximum number of books, minimum sum, or sum, or average. If it works with Excel, you would see stuff like this, like count, sum, and stuff like that. It's basically kind of like that. Now, if I run this, okay, there's an incorrect error near count. So it means there's something wrong here. And it's always good to see what's wrong with it. And it's because I forgot to add this comma here. Now hopefully that works. Nope. Now there's something wrong with invalid object name author. Okay, everything seems to be right according to my notes. Oops. I spelled author wrong. You see, join, okay, yeah, when we're using join, these table names have to be correct. So now if I do this, here we go. So one genre action, Ian Fleming, he's written 5 books on the genre of children. Roald Dahl's written 5 books. Stephen King's written 5 books. But H.G. Wells has written 4. So yeah. So just to recap, we're saying we're selecting our genre description from our table genre, and we're going to put it under the column genre that we created. Same with name and surname. And then we're also going to create a column called book count. And this is going to count the book dot and then the book ID. And then we're going to select from our table book. So all the books that these authors have written. And then we're going to join our author table. So we're going to join author table. And then on author table, we're going to say book.author ID is equal to author ID. So then these will bind together. And then also the same with genre. So genre is going to be bind to book.genre. And then we're going to say, okay, so these guys have written these many books, and it's going to link up to all of these books. So in our table, all of the books that we've written, Ian Fleming is going to be linked up to all of the books that he's written. Same with Roald Dahl and Stephen King and H.G. Wells. And then we're going to group them by the description, the author name, and surname, which we've done. And then we're going to order it by the book counts from descending order, so from highest to lowest. So that's why H.G. Wells is at the bottom. And then it's going to do genre description, so in alphabetical order. So genre description, action, children, horror, see, and then from surname in alphabetical order. So Fleming, Dahl, King. But I feel like this wouldn't work because if you look at the surnames in that, these two overruled this. Because if it was by surname, then no, actually that's right, yeah. Because I'm really I can't. I forgot my alphabet. So I really need to lie down after this. Okay, so that is question 6. So now 7 and 8, and then we're done. But remember, 1 to 4 is actually super easy. You can do that very quickly. It's only 5 to 8 where things get tricky that I recommend you start practicing a lot just so you can get in your head, because a lot of us will be doing this for sit down exams, and the worst thing about sitting down and doing a paper is that eventually, if you do sit down, like, you might know your stuff, but the moment you sit down, you forgot everything, and now you don't know what to do. So it's good to just practice this stuff. Okay, so now number 7. Write a SQL statement demonstrating your knowledge of the having clause. Okay. Now, instead of doing the whole thing again, I'm just gonna make a few edits. So, if I remember correctly, nothing changes here. Only thing we just need to do is, so underneath surname, we'll just say having, say count, and just say, okay, book dot book ID. And then, okay, so when we're saying having, we're basically saying, okay, we're only going to display the stuff that has what we're looking for. And we're going to say we want books that have a book count of anything that's greater than or equal to 5. Which means that when I do the table, Wells is going to disappear. So if we execute it, see, he's gone. Anybody who has books that are greater than or equal to, then they display. But if I do less than 5 and executes, will also be the only one who, whoops, and executes will also be the only one who shows up. So yeah, this is how we do it. I have no idea how it zoomed in, but oh, there it is. 100. Yeah, you won't be able to see that. 150. You want 130 should be good. Yeah, the things I obsess over. There you go, 130. So yeah, that's just question 6. And then finally, question 8. Write an SQL statement to demonstrate your knowledge of using joins. Now, okay, technically we already used that for 5 and I think 6, but it's good. It's always good to do it again for practice. But like I said, I'm just gonna make a little change. So let's just read what they want us to do, because we can't just jump the gun and expect something to be different. So okay, they just want an appropriate report. Okay, so I'm just gonna take out some stuff. So and then rearrange some things. So we will keep the description, but let's get rid of this. And we'll say book dot title, and I'll save it as book title. Damn, that's not how you spell title. Book title, and then the author name. There it is. I'm just gonna copy this. As name. Okay, and then we're gonna add that. Remember guys, I'm a developer. Laziness is in my blood. Okay, from book, join. Okay, we've done that. Join that. We've done that. And then we don't need the group by anymore. I'm going to keep the order by. What else are we going to join? And no, I don't need this. We're not going to do the surname. We're just going to do book title instead. Book dot title AS for ascending. Okay. And then if I execute that, here's our very basic report using joins for question 8. So yeah, that's basically the whole assignment, that we've already done. But it's a good practice for database. It basically covers everything that you would need to do for an exam, test, past paper. So look for more papers like this and keep practicing. Sorry, this video's been a while. Just been trying to. I'm still studying, so I'm still trying to focus on my studies and that. But I'm saving up for a new mic. That's also one of the reasons why I haven't actually been posting that many videos as frequently as I used to. Right now I'm using a mic I'm borrowing, but eventually I'll get a better quality mic. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this video was helpful, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And ring that bell if they still have bells on YouTube. every like helps. Hopefully we can get more subscribers. Because even though I do get ads in my videos, I don't make money from them. YouTube has this very uh, like weird thing I have to achieve before I start making money off ads. So yeah, but yeah, thanks for watching. And also, I want to say I got 100 subscribers. It's a very big deal for me. Uh, uh, I'm really glad that I got 100 subscribers, and I want to say thanks for supporting this channel, guys. I did this just to help me and my friends. You know, uh, when we were struggling as first years trying to get through our subjects and that, and then I thought, you know what, why not I just put the stuff up just to help other people there, because maybe not everybody's going to do the same thing you're doing, and it's good to have somebody who has done their thing, that has done their own way and trying to explain how to do things in a way that you can understand. So yeah, thanks for the 100 subscribers, guys. It really means a lot. And until next time.